The Edwards backyard barbecue was in full swing, but all eyes were on Joshua as he tapped his shiny new sealed Trident pin.
Hell week? Let me tell you, nobody in my buds class had it as hard as me. They broke men out there, but I thrived.
At a nearby picnic table, Mary ate her potato salad in silence. A slender steel chain glinted at her throat, a sealed Trident pendant hidden beneath her olive shirt. Her face was unreadable, a faint scar cutting across her left cheekbone. Her arms crossed as she watched her brother's performance.
That's my sister Mary, the office sister who married a Navy nerd. Bet she's never even broken a sweat.
Michael, Mary's husband, leaned against a tree, arms loosely crossed. His expression was calm, but his eyes tracked Joshua with something that looked like patience.
Mary, your brother's out there earning his country's respect. What have you done lately, besides push papers?
He has no idea what I do. None of them do.
Come on, Joshua. Give her a break. Not everyone can be a hero.
The barbecue laughter swelled, but a quiet truth sat just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to surface. Joshua, emboldened by the laughter, launched into another tale of Bud's brutality.
They threw us into the surf zone with full packs. I was the only one who didn't ring the bell that night.
No way. I heard half the class quits on day one. You really must be something special.
See, Mary, that's real service. Not sitting at a desk stamping forms.
If only they knew where these hands have been.
Michael stepped closer to Mary, his hand resting lightly on her lower back. He said nothing, but his touch spoke volumes.
And then the instructors made us carry logs until our shoulders bled. I never complained once.
You must have been their star pupil, Joshua.
Son, you are the pride of this family. Not like some people who just coast along.
Mary kept chewing, the faint flicker of a muscle in her jaw the only sign that the words landed. Lisa set down her drink and turned toward Mary with genuine curiosity.
Hey, Mary, I never asked. What do you actually do in the Navy?
Oh, you know, she pushes paper. The Navy needs someone to file the heroes' reports.
I push papers.
Michael's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly as he watched his wife absorb yet another dismissive laugh.
That's it? You must have some stories. Even desk jobs have some excitement, right?
Trust me, Lisa. The only excitement Mary sees is a jammed printer. Let's get back to real war stories.
One day, he'll learn the truth, but not today.
Michael's hand pressed a little firmer against Mary's back, a silent promise that the truth would surface when the time was right. But the next question would come from an unexpected angle, and this time Michael wouldn't stay silent.
And you, Michael? You were Navy too, right? What did you do on the ships?
Corpsman. Nothing special. I patched up sailors, that's all.
But then Michael's gaze shifted to Mary, and something knowing flickered in his eyes.
My wife, though, she had a much more interesting career. The kind that shapes men.
Interesting. Mary? What? Did she file the right forms to shape a paper airplane?
Keep talking, little brother. You'll see soon enough.
Wait, what do you mean, shapes men? Mary, what did you really do?
Don't be ridiculous. Mary's never been one for action. What's Michael talking about?
The barbecue fell into an uneasy silence. Forks hovered midair, all eyes fixed on Michael and Mary, and in that silence, the weight of a long-held secret pressed against the air, ready to break.
Mary was your senior instructor at Bud D's class 247. She trained you.
The words landed like a depth charge. No one breathed.
That's insane. My lead instructor was Master Chief Hayes, a man.
Hayes was her cover name. A voice, a shadow. But it was Mary the whole time.
Mary remained still, her expression unreadable, letting Michael's words sink in.
Impossible. You are lying. She's my sister, not some instructor.
I was there. I saw her put you through Hell Week herself. Ask yourself why the voice never broke.
David's face drained of color, staring at his daughter as if seeing her for the first time. The barbecue had become a courtroom. with Mary at the center of an impossible truth.
She didn't just push papers. She built seals. And this one, his voice softened toward Joshua, belongs to her.
Master Chief Hayes was 6'4" and built like a tank. You expect me to believe that was Mary?
A voice in the dark doesn't need a body. Tell me, do you remember the 6 words that broke you?
Joshua's mouth went dry. A ghost of memory flickered behind his eyes, a command that had echoed through his worst night. Lisa's hand flew to her mouth. David leaned forward, his confusion hardening into something colder. Mary took another bite of potato salad, unhurried, unbothered.
Number, that voice, it was always controlled. Never broke, it couldn't be her.
Class 247, Hell Week, Night 3. The command that made you move before you could think. She's waiting for you to remember.
His hands began to shake. The memory was no longer a whisper. It was a scream.
What the hell is he talking about, Mary? Why does Joshua look like he's seen a ghost?
The answer was already forming on Joshua's lips. But it wasn't a word. It was a reflex, buried in muscle and fear. Mary set down her fork and rose from the bench. The scrape of wood on wood was the only sound.
Reeves, get your gear and move.
Joshua's body snapped to attention before his mind could object. Yes, Master Chief. The words erupted from his chest. Then his eyes widened in horror. He was standing at parade rest in his own backyard, responding to his sister.
Oh my God.
Mary sat back down and picked up her fork as if she'd done nothing more than comment on the weather.
And there it is. The truth they can't unsee.
It was her, the voice in the dark, the one who never let me quit.
Mary, what the hell is going on? How is this possible?
The evidence was no longer a story. It was bone deep, and the entire family had witnessed it. Joshua's body released him. He stumbled backward into his chair as if the strings had been cut.
How is this even possible? You were supposed to be the office sister.
I was part of a classified program, female operators training SEALs undercover. I was assigned to Class 247.
The silence stretched as the family absorbed the magnitude. She hadn't just trained Joshua. She'd built an entire Bud-is class.
You trained them all? Every single candidate?
Everyone who graduated, including the brother who dismissed me as a filing cabinet sailor.
Joshua's hands lay limp on the table, the trident pin now feeling like an accusation.
All these years. Why didn't you tell us?
Because the mission required silence. And because I needed you to see me without the uniform.
The barbecue was over in spirit, though the plates were still half full. A raw, uncomfortable understanding settled over the family. The heavy silence stretched, every breath an indictment. Mary's eyes found Joshua across the table.
You earned your trident honestly, Joshua. I am proud of you.
Joshua's gaze dropped. He couldn't lift his eyes to meet hers.
Not as my student, as my brother.
I can't believe. All these years, we never knew.
David stared at his daughter, the lines on his face deepening, but no words left his lips. The bunting and laughter now felt like a cruel joke. This party had become a funeral for old lies. Mary did not gloat. She simply returned to her potato salad, the silence more powerful than any speech.
She trained me, broke me, built me, and I called her a paper pusher.
The barbecue limped on, but the celebration was over. Each person sat alone with a new, uncomfortable truth. Joshua's mind drifted from the backyard to the cold surf of Coronado. Salt and diesel sharpened his memory.
The water was 52 degrees. We were shattered, and that voice never stopped pushing.
He saw himself carrying logs until his shoulders screamed, the voice cutting through the chaos.
You don't quit until I say you quit. That command, it was in my bones.
The voice had been steady, controlled, a constant force that never cracked, never wavered.
She was there the whole time, every brutal day. Every night, Mary never left.
The instructor he'd feared and respected was the sister he'd mocked at every family dinner. His bravado crumbled, replaced by a cold, hollow understanding of what she'd sacrificed.
She gave years to build me up, and I gave her nothing but contempt.
The barbecue noise faded into white static. Joshua sat alone in a crowd, his pride stripped bare. Amid the stunned silence, Mary's voice cut through, softer than anyone had ever heard it.
I didn't just volunteer because the Navy asked. I volunteered because of you, Joshua.
The confession hung in the air, reframing every insult he'd ever thrown at her.
When I learned you'd been accepted to Bud S, I knew I had to be there, not to hold your hand, to make sure you earned it.
Her voice remained steady, but something fierce and protective bled through the words.
I wanted you to become the man I knew you could be, even if you never knew I was the one pushing you.
Joshua's eyes glistened, a single tear carving through the remnants of his bravado.
She sacrificed her own recognition, so I could have mine.
Michael reached over and placed a hand on Mary's shoulder, a silent anchor amidst the family's reeling. For the first time, the silence wasn't hostile, it was fragile, like a bridge not yet built. Joshua finally lifted his head, his voice hoarse and unsteady.
Why didn't you tell me after I graduated? You let me strut around like I did it alone.
Mary set her fork down, not in anger, but with a patience that seemed bottomless.
Because you needed to believe it was all you. And it was, Joshua. The body that swam and ran was yours. I just made sure your mind didn't quit before your body did. A nudge, not a carry.
She spoke without a trace of bitterness, as if the secret had been a necessary kindness.
You earned your trident, honestly. I was the hammer, but you were the steel.
Joshua looked down, his throat working as he absorbed the weight of her words.
A gift wrapped in pain. She let me hate her so I could love what I became.
The conversation had turned intimate, the family reduced to silent witnesses of a grace they didn't deserve. David's voice, rough from decades of unkind words, scraped through the silence.
All these years, I called you. I never once thought you could be anything more.
I know, Dad.
I was wrong. I
still served. That was enough for the Navy. It had to be enough for me.
David's hands fell open, the beer bottle unsteady. The man who measured worth in titles had no words. He looked away, decades of dismissal settling on his shoulders like a weight he couldn't shake. Mary did not press. The silence was a victory she had never needed to claim.
Dad never apologized for anything, and now he couldn't even finish.
The barbecue was a funeral now for the old Mary they had dismissed, and for the father David had been. Mary placed her napkin on the plate and rose. The scrape of her chair announced an ending no one was ready for.
We'll head home. It's been a long afternoon.
Say something. Apologize. Thank her. Anything.
Michael guided Mary toward the gate, their departure unhurried but certain. The family stood in a loose, helpless semicircle. Mary paused and looked back at Joshua, just for a second. She gave him a nod so slight it might have been a blink. Joshua opened his mouth, but the words stuck like salt in a wound. Nothing came out. The car swallowed them. Through the rear window, Mary's silhouette was unreadable, already distant. The taillights pulsed red and then shrank down the street, carrying away decades of quiet sacrifice.
I let her leave without a single honest word. What kind of SEAL does that make me?
The barbecue was over, but the real test for Joshua had just begun, and it would be fought in silence, not in water. The backyard emptied, relatives fleeing the sudden weight. Lisa approached Joshua, her face taut with concern.
Joshua, are you okay? I had no idea about Mary. None of us did.
She doesn't get it. Pity won't fix what I broke.
He pulled away from her reaching hand, the motion sharp and instinctive.
I'll leave you alone. But Joshua, she really loves you.
Her footsteps faded. Joshua's gaze locked onto the empty chair where Mary had sat, her plate still holding half-eaten potato salad.
She earned nothing but contempt, and she gave me everything. I have to make this right.
Guilt and gratitude warred, then fused into a single, unshakable purpose. Words would be empty. He needed an act she could feel.
Not a speech. Something she can hold. a token that says I understand what she sacrificed.
He stood, the celebration's wreckage meaningless now. Before the night was over, he'd set in motion a gesture years overdue. 3 days later, in the stale quiet of his apartment, Joshua sat at a narrow desk, the only light a desk lamp pooling gold.
This pin means everything to me, but she gave me more than a pin. She gave me the man who wears it.
He set the pin aside and pulled a blank sheet of paper forward. The pen felt heavier than any weapon. He didn't write an explanation. Just one line in tight, disciplined script. I should have asked. No excuses, no pleas. The words were a surrender, and they were enough. He folded the paper once, then placed his spare Trident pin on top of it. The silver caught the lamplight like a promise. He slid both into a plain envelope, his movements deliberate, almost ceremonial. On the front, he wrote Mary's address in the same tight hand. No return address felt like the right kind of humility.
She'll know it's from me. And she'll know I finally understand what she gave up.
The envelope sat on the desk, a simple rectangle holding a lifetime of overdue respect. Tomorrow, he would send it. The next morning, the sun found Joshua already dressed, the envelope in his hand like a piece of navigation he'd finally solved. He walked to the corner mailbox, the streets still quiet with dawn. The blue metal glinted under a pale sky. His fingers hovered at the slot. One breath, two. Then the envelope slipped from his grip. No drama, just gravity.
That's it. No taking it back. Finally, an order I gave myself.
He didn't linger. He turned and walked away, shoulders squared in a way they hadn't been since before the barbecue. A dissolve, and the morning light shifted to a quiet suburban street. Mary's house sat peaceful, its windows warm. The flag in the front yard caught a breeze, its shadow undulating over the lawn. Inside, nothing had changed yet. The mailbox at the curb stood empty, but in a few days it would hold an answer to a question Joshua hadn't known he was asking. For now, the street remained still, holding its breath alongside everyone who had witnessed the barbecue. Joshua had done the only thing a seal could do when words failed. He acted. The rest belonged to Mary. 2 weeks later, Mary retrieved her mail on a cool morning, the routine feel of paper between her fingers. Inside, at the kitchen table, she sorted bills until her hand touched a heavier envelope with no return address. She opened it carefully. A silver Trident pin slid out onto the wood, followed by a single folded sheet. She lifted the pin first, its cool weight familiar from years of service, then set it down to unfold the note. She unfolded the paper, her fingers steady. The handwriting was sharp, familiar. One line, I should have asked. The words hung in the quiet kitchen. Each letter a small surrender, a bridge finally built.
He finally asked, not for permission, for the truth I always hoped he'd find.
She traced the edge of the pin with her thumb, its shadow stretching long in the morning light. Outside, the flag snapped softly. The only sound as Mary sat motionless, the past finally settled between them like a quiet tide. Mary read the line again, slower this time, her lips barely moving. The silence in the kitchen was warm now, not empty. A small, soft smile pulled at the corner of her mouth. Not triumph, just quiet peace.
He finally understood. It was never about the uniform. It was about earning it together.
Her thumb rested on the pin, the note still open beside it. The years of silence finally had an answer. Soft footsteps on the floorboards. Michael appeared in the doorway, still in his flannel, coffee in hand. He didn't need to ask. The pin and her expression said everything.
He sent that, didn't he?
He finally asked the right question.
Michael set down his mug and rested a hand on her shoulder. No words, just the weight of a shared victory. He had been her witness through years of invisibility, and now he watched her finally be seen. Later, alone in the bedroom, Mary stood before the mirror, the borrowed Trident pin cool in her palm. She pinned it to the outside of her jacket, just above her own pendant. The 2 Trident pins caught the light. Her fingers lingered on the twin symbols, one earned in secret, one sent in remorse.
two parts of the same story, his and mine.
She adjusted the pins until they lay parallel, a quiet duet of silver. In the mirror, her reflection looked back, scar, pendant, and now his pin. The image was complete. On the wall beside her, a framed photo held a younger Mary in uniform, staring back with the same steady eyes.
She would have been proud of the man I helped build. And now, I can be proud of the brother who finally saw me.
She took a deep breath and let it out slowly, the kind of breath that follows a long hold. Outside her window, the world continued unaware, but inside, a quiet peace had settled in the space where old wounds used to live. That evening, the porch swing creaked softly as Mary and Michael settled into its familiar rhythm. He took her hand, his thumb brushing over her wedding band and the edge of the new pin.
After all these years, he never needed words to stand beside me.
The sun sank low, painting the sky in amber and rose. Neither of them spoke. Her jacket lay open, the two Trident pins catching the last light, side by side. Side by side, the silence between them was full, not empty. A shared peace that didn't need filling. A breeze stirred the flag in the yard, and the porch swing kept its slow, even beat. Mary had spent years building warriors in silence. Now, she had been given back something quieter, respect. No victory lap, no fanfare, just a woman, her husband, and a night that finally felt whole. The swing rocked gently as the last light drained from the sky, carrying with it the weight of a lifetime. Eventually, the swing stilled. The porch was empty, but not abandoned. The two silver pins rested on the wooden seat, catching the last breath of sunset. A sunbeam struck the pins, igniting their edges with a brief, brilliant fire. The house stood quiet behind them, windows glowing warm against the cooling quarlight. No sound but the soft rustle of the flag, the distant hum of evening settling in. The pins lay parallel, as if they had always belonged in the same light, one earned in sacrifice, one given in understanding. Together, they told a story that needed no more words. The stars began to pierce the velvet, and the house exhaled into the calm of a night finally at peace. And on the swing, two silver tridents held the memory of a battle fought twice, once in the surf, once in silence. The camera holds on the empty house, the flag still, the pins gleaming like a quiet promise kept, fade to black.